Leading off our discussion tonight is Democratic Congresswoman Marilyn Strickland of Washington. She is a member of the House Armed Services Committee, which has jurisdiction over the Department of Defense, which Donald Trump actually wanted Pete Hegseth to run. Congresswoman Strickland, thank you very much for joining us tonight. I personally don't believe this is going to get to a confirmation hearing, but you know the Defense Department. It's one of the most complex departments in Washington. What would be the concerns with having someone with a very serious drinking problem and other behavioral problems as the Secretary of Defense?
Well, thank you for having me on, Lawrence. I will start with the drinking problem, which you just laid out very thoroughly. But let's not forget the allegations of sexual assault. Let's also not forget about his fealty to Donald Trump. Donald Trump wants to do three things. He wants to weaponize, he wants to compromise, and he wants to demoralize our national security apparatus and our intelligence apparatus. And what I see in this nomination is an insult to the American people. There's also a double standard. It would never cross the mind of a Democratic president to nominate someone who is so unqualified and has so much overt baggage. And that person would immediately withdraw their nomination, if anything, if a hint of this came out. So the fact that they are still proceeding with this really tells you that they think they may go forward with it. I don't see a Senate confirmation happening, but the fact that this is even considered, he's even considered a nominee, is appalling and an affront to the American people.
I believe we're going to be moving on to another nominee at some point, and it'll be a question of, and in fact, there are reports tonight that Donald Trump is considering replacing Pete Hegseth with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who also has military experience, but doesn't have anything like the kind of national security experience that has been common in many secretaries of defense.
Absolutely. I mean, think about who we have right now as Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin, a four-star general who has served admirably, and then switching over to Pete Hegseth. And when that doesn't work out, he will go to Governor DeSantis. And it says a few things. It says that Donald Trump is unserious about protecting and defending our nation. He wants to weaponize the military, and he's only, again, looking for loyalists who are going to have fealty to him. As we think about the Senate confirmation process, I know that senators are watching this very carefully, and it is my assumption that they will grill these nominees thoroughly, but also do what's best for our defense, for here at home and our allies around the world. But this parade or carousel of nominees going through already, it's early December, Lawrence, and here we are talking about another nominee who won't likely even make it to a nomination or the Senate confirmation process.
So if a nominee like Hegseth made it through the Senate confirmation, and I believe we're now into hypothetical questions because I don't think he would then become Secretary of Defense. He would then find himself testifying to your committee in the House. Would Democrats on the House Armed Services Committee just consider everything raised at his Senate confirmation hearing to be the past, and would you still want to go into the issues that are now being raised about him?
If he passes the Senate confirmation, and I really don't believe this is going to happen, I believe he will withdraw the nomination before this week is over. But let's just say something crazy happens and he gets through and we're going to question him. We have to talk about his qualifications and his competence to even do the job. Being Secretary of Defense is one of the biggest, most important jobs in the scope of authority. You are reporting to the Commander-in-Chief. You have to be competent. You're overseeing the branches of the military. You're working on national security. And the idea that someone with all this baggage who is unqualified for the job could even serve is just ridiculous. And so, again, I think he will withdraw his nomination before this week is over. There will probably be another nominee. But again, the double standard, Lawrence. Why is it that we are having a conversation on national news about this person who is clearly unqualified and has so much baggage, and the only qualification he has is that he is loyal to Donald Trump?
Congresswoman Marilyn Strickland, thank you very much for joining us tonight.